Hello, my name's Paige. For my debate topic, I decided to do should transgender females be able to compete in female sports? In my opinion, I do not think transgender females should be able to compete in female sports due to the significant amount of differences between a man and a woman. There's a lot of physical differences that let men have a greater advantage over women, especially when it comes to sports because they are so physical and we rely on our bodies to be able to perform in sport. First thing I want to start off and I want to discuss physical differences between men and women. Men typically, their bones are longer and denser. They have more muscle tissue, which means that they are able to build more muscle mass in more areas of the body. Which this also leads to meaning that they have more strength, more speed, and typically, most of the time, men are taller than women. They also have a greater lung capacity, which, when it comes to sports, that is a really good thing because they can perform better and for a longer period of time. They also have a faster metabolism, which means, they break down food faster, they use their food faster, and it helps them basically from like they don't gain weight as much because they have a faster metabolism. Now, on the other hand, women, instead of having more muscle tissue, they tend to have more fat tissue. So, women store fat easily in different areas of the body, kind of like the abdomen and like the lower belly. Um, and women also store fat in their breasts. That's why women have bigger breasts than men, is because they tend to store fat in there. Women can also bear children. They can get pregnant, they can push out a baby, uh, they can do all the things. A man cannot have a child. Another thing is women tend to be shorter than men because they don't have as long of bones as what men typically do. And they also have a slower metabolism, which means they are more likely to put on weight compared to a man, and it's harder for them to burn fat. A man, since they have a faster metabolism, they can burn fat more easily and turn it into muscle mass, whereas a woman has a slower metabolism and they tend to gain the fat and put on the weight. Um, these different physical differences between men and women uh, tend to provide men with a performance advantage of about 8 to 50% better performance than a woman in sports. Even after a transgender woman like changes from a man to a woman, even after they take, the medicine to suppress the testosterone levels, or even if they surgically change their bodies, it still does not affect, you know, all the physical differences that a man has. They still have those differences even though they take medicine to suppress testosterone levels or have surgery to change their body. One person I want to point out is I feel like they're typically a hot subject in this debate. And I've seen a lot of news articles on this person, and I feel like it's something that needs talked about. Leah Thomas. She is a transgender female, which means she was a man and she transitioned to a female. She's a swimmer at the University of Pennsylvania. She previously competed in men's swimming before she transitioned into a woman. She competed for 3 years at the University of Pennsylvania before she transitioned to a woman. Now she competes in women's swimming. This has raised tons of publicity because she has been beating several women's swim records and routinely beating all of her women teammates in swim meets because she is biologically a man and built like a man. So she has a advantage over all the biological women because she is biologically a man. One celebrity that I would really like to point out who has spoken out on this issue is Caitlyn Jenner, who formerly was known as Bruce Jenner. They used to be a man and they transitioned to a female a few years ago. Caitlyn Jenner was also an Olympian herself. So she is a really good point of view when it comes to this matter, and she can give both sides of the story. Jenner has stated, "I've said from the beginning, biological boys should not be playing in women's sports. We need to protect women's rights." I really like this statement from Caitlyn because I think she gives a good point of view because she can see it from the athlete side and from the side of someone who has transitioned. Other things that can need to be taken into consideration is that women athletes are not having a fair opportunity in competing and showcasing themselves in trying to get into pro sports. If you have a biological man beating you every competition, it kind of shadows the biological females who are trying to make it in the sport and make this as their career. Another thing to also consider is women might feel uncomfortable sharing the locker room with someone who is biologically a man. And women also might be afraid to speak out against the issue and afraid to voice their opinions because due to the backlash from the media and all the news outlets. Lastly, I want to talk about what could be done to fix this or maybe like solve the issue. One possible thing that could be done is maybe a separate sports team could be made so that transgender athletes can participate and feel included in the sports. Or transgender athletes can just compete with their biological gender. Something as simple as that. Rules need to be put into place to protect women's sports so they are not compromised. I think that is a big one in order to protect women's sports.